I can't blame you if you want to make the switch from being a radiographer to being a sonographer, especially if you've watched my videos on what a radiographer earns and what a sonographer earns. Then in that case, I really can't blame you. And quite frankly, they're both fulfilling professions. But being that I have tasted being in X-ray, in CT, as a radiographer, and I am currently in ultrasound, I've tasted being in ultrasound as well. If I had to choose, I would choose ultrasound. So I can't blame you if you want to make the switch as well. So this video is tailor-made for radiographers who are very eager, very passionate about switching to ultrasound, and for international radiographers who are already working in the UK. A lot of you have already got your postgraduate diploma in ultrasound from your countries. And so you want to be able to use your qualification to transition into sonography here in the UK. This video is made for you. So if you've been feeling stuck in X-ray, you're feeling stuck in CT, you just don't know how to make the move, how to transition, you're just not feeling confident enough, or you don't even know the first step to take to actually transition. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore, because that's why I'm here. I'm going to give you 9 fire tips that would help you transition from X-ray to ultrasound, especially if you've got an overseas qualification already. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Rajuna. I am a Nigerian trained sonographer who works in the UK, and on my channel I try to provide valuable insight, tips, that would help you succeed as a radiographer, as a sonographer, as a healthcare worker in the UK. All right, so let's dive in. The first insider tip that I have for you is request for ultrasound shadowing sessions in your trust. You're already a radiographer. You're likely already working in an NHS trust. And in that NHS trust, there is an ultrasound department. So officially request for ultrasound shadowing sessions from the ultrasound manager. Now, if in your country, you could just walk into an ultrasound unit and then tell your friend or the sonographer there, can I just shadow you, while you're scanning your patient, can I just stick around and stuff like that? If that could fly in your country, it doesn't really fly in the UK. So you want to be careful about that. You want to formally, officially request for permission to be in the room when a sonographer is working. Whether the sonographer is your friend or not, it doesn't really matter. Now, why do you need shadowing sessions? There are many reasons. I'll tell you some of them. So maybe you're a sonographer in your country. That's fine. That's good. But then this is another country. So it will naturally be different. Some things will not be the same as it was in your country. And so you want shadowing sessions because you want to see these differences for yourself. You want to have a first-hand experience of the daily responsibilities and tasks of a sonographer in the UK, okay? Now, being able to experience this, see for yourself, see how things work, is extremely valuable in building your confidence and helping you to even evaluate your own competence before you put yourself out there on the job market looking for an ultrasound job. Secondly, you also want to assess if this is the right thing for you. Because as much as you were a sonographer in your country, you probably enjoyed it, you've come to the UK, you've probably been away from ultrasound for a while, you're practicing, in X-ray or in CT and MRI, and, you just have a shadowing session. Come see ultrasound for yourself. Come and determine if it's actually what you want. Because it might not be what you want. By the time you see the daily task of a sonographer and what they have to do, the communication channels, the responsibilities associated with it, you might decide that it's not for you and you like where you are. So engaging in shadowing sessions is an avenue for you to determine, assess the situation, determine if it is for you or not. Now, another reason is the networking opportunities that really come with shadowing. Now, if you're granted shadowing opportunities in your trust, then chances are they're going to roster you to work with different sonographers or even radiologists. Now, working with these different people gives you an opportunity to build some relationships. And this kind of relationships can open doors for mentorship, they can open doors for guidance, they can open doors for even future job opportunities for you. Because let's say, a sonography vacancy opened in your trust. You've already shadowed these people, they already know you. They already saw how eager you were when you were shadowing, how passionate you were about ultrasound, how well versed you were in the profession. By the time a job opportunity comes out, the good words from these people could actually stand in for you. You never know. So another reason why shadowing is important is because it can help to demonstrate genuine commitment to actually switching from radiography to ultrasound. And that's because it shows how proactive you are. It shows proactiveness on your part. It shows genuine commitment. It shows you are willing to invest your time and your resources in acquiring the necessary skills, the knowledge that you need to actually transition to ultrasound. And all these things will come in handy for you down the line when you are applying for ultrasound jobs, whether it's in your trust or in another trust, it could really come in handy. Now, don't forget that when you apply for shadowing time, you are asking to do it during your free time, during your annual leave or your days off. You're not doing it during your contracted working hours, because that way it will be disruptive to the service. So always bear that in mind. You want to use your free time for it. Now, the second tip I have for you to help you transition to ultrasound would be to stay ultrasound savvy. Now, what do I mean by this? Keeping your ultrasound game strong is an ongoing commitment. It does not stop. So because you're in X-ray or in CT or in, radiography generally, it does not mean that you should stop keeping up to date with your knowledge in ultrasound. Because like play, before you know it, if your passion is to come back to ultrasound, you would have forgotten things that you should not be forgetting in ultrasound. So it's an ongoing commitment. You have to dedicate the time to constantly stay immersed in the field. So you have to regularly read textbooks, go online, read whatever it is online that you need to read about ultrasound. If you've already done your PGD, revisit your PGD materials, read all of those, because in as much as you're in X-ray, your mind is in ultrasound. So make sure that you continuously stay immersed in the field of ultrasound. Don't lose touch, basically. Now, before you even start your shadowing sessions, make sure that you brush yourself up beforehand, because by the time you go to shadow a sonographer, you want to be able to ask smart, intelligent, insightful questions. You don't just want to be asking stupid questions or questions that it is expected that you should know, especially if you say you were a sonographer in your country before, or you've gotten your postgraduate diploma in ultrasound. If you've never been in ultrasound before, there are certain questions, that would be excusable. But if you say you've scanned before, or you scanned in your country, blah, 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 there are certain things that you ask and somebody will be like, how were you able to do this? How were you able to scan successfully as a sonographer if you don't know this? So make sure you brush yourself up. Make sure you clean yourself up as much as you can, and make sure that the kind of questions that you're asking demonstrate your expertise and your experience in the field. Now, the third tip that I have for you is that you should put pen to paper. Write a reflection of your shadowing experience when you're done. Basically, just put your experiences into words and send it to the ultrasound manager that you have been communicating with, just to give an insightful feedback about the entire experience. Now, it's a professional courtesy for you to write back saying, oh, thank you for the shadowing experience. These were the things that I learned, shadowing. It was a very valuable experience for me. This happened and that happened, and I'm grateful that I had to see that for myself. That is reflective practice. You want to do that. And writing reflection is also a good opportunity for the person that you're writing to get feedback for your improvement. They could even give you certain tips that could help you to actually transition. And then it also opened the lines of communication between you and that manager and other sonographers as well, so that if there are any future opportunities, any opportunities to collaborate with each other, writing a feedback, a reflection like that can give you guys an open line of communication to collaborate in the future. Now, the fourth tip that I can give you is to get your UK NX certification. Now, this applies for overseas radiographers who have an ultrasound qualification from their country, okay? Now, the thing is, in this UK, by the time you're ready, you've got the confidence, you're now out there, you start applying for ultrasound jobs, you will come across, very, very likely, you will come across certain employers, NHS employers, some of them, some are agents and all that, who will tell you, oh, we're not too sure of your qualification. We don't know if it's equivalent to a UK qualification. Now, UK NIC is the approved national agency in the UK for comparing international qualifications to a UK standard to make sure they align and they are at an equivalent level. And so you want to get this certificate. Now, by acquiring this certification, you will be able to provide tangible evidence to any employer who may have some reservations about your qualification. So by the time they are telling you, oh, I'm not sure about your qualification, this and that, if they're open-minded enough, by the time you present your UK NIC certificate, they'll be able to see that it is comparable, it is equivalent to a UK qualification, and so there should be no problems with giving me the job. Now, applying for the UK NIC certificate is a very straightforward process. All you need is your certificate, your postgraduate diploma certificate from your country, and you need your transcript, and you need your curriculum, and you need letter of English proficiency, I think. So if you have all these things, you just go to the website, they ask you for, some of these things, you give it to them, you pay the application fee, and you should get your certificate in no time. Now, if you want more on how to go about this, I have a post on my blog here. You can check it out. I'll drop a link below. Now, the fifth tip that I can give you is for you to approach a UK university and ask them if they can map your qualifications with a UK qualification. Now, this is like an extension of point number 4. That's because there are some employers that even when you give them your UK NIC certificate, They still tell you, oh, they're still not confident in this. And they want proof from a UK university that they've been able to map your studies, your qualification with that of a UK curriculum. Now, it wasn't always like this. It's a growing thing now that's happening in the UK. And so I'm mentioning it here just because you need to be sensitized about it, that you could meet employers like this. Now, normally this should not be a problem. It really shouldn't. You should be able to just walk up to university and say, okay, map the qualification. This is my curriculum from my school. This is my transcript. This is my this, my that. Can you just map it? And it should be okay. The problem, however, is that most universities do not do this. They do not offer this service except you're actually doing a master's with them, and not everybody can afford to do a master's in ultrasound, at least not immediately. So except you're doing a master's in ultrasound with them, they might not be able to map your qualification. So that places you in a very detrimental position, because as an employer, if you're saying, oh, go map your qualification with a university, and then there is no university that is providing that service, it becomes really difficult. And you're seemingly placing that candidate at an unfair disadvantage, because every other candidate who did not school abroad might not have to go through this whole rigorous process, but you have to. And so that might potentially spin into a case of indirect discrimination if they are not careful. And the thing is, if you know no, you know no, which is why it's important for you to be sensitized. And I'm sensitizing you about these things because you could be very well discriminated upon and not even know it. Yeah. It's just like an employer telling you to bring a certain requirement that they know, they are fully aware of, cannot be met. So asking that from any candidate or any employee can be discriminatory. I'm not a lawyer. It's always good to get legal advice and stuff like this. But, just based on what is written on a lot of official websites and stuff, it could very well be a case of discrimination. So you just got to be careful. So in any case, though, if you're really trying to transition, you truly don't really understand the intricacies of all these things. So you might want to do your own due diligence and approach any university around you, write to them. You've got an overseas qualification. Please, can they help you to map it against the UK qualification with all your documents, your curriculum, and your transcript and stuff? And if they say they can do it, fine. If they cannot do it, well, at least you tried. You can try another university. If they say they can't do it, well, that's fine. You tried. You keep on applying for your jobs. Not every employer asks for this thing. Just some employers are deciding to do this thing. And like I said, it shouldn't be a problem if there's a straightforward process of getting proof. The straightforward process that we know is UK NIC certification. So if we're doing that and we're providing it to you, why can't you accept it? Why do you want something more? If you want something more, then provide a straight pathway for us to get it. It's when there's no straight pathway to get it, then it's a problem. It becomes a problem for a lot of overseas applicants. But like I said, do your due diligence and see if you can get it. And, within your rights as an applicant, there's a way an employer would ask you for this, or certain way that they will put this to you that would be really unacceptable. It is within your right as an applicant to push back, to ask certain questions, ask them why they're doing certain things to you, on what grounds, on what legal grounds are they standing to do certain things to you, because everyone should really be treated equally. You should not be treated differently from other applicants, and there should be good reason for why they're not giving you a job, and not because you've got an overseas qualification. In fact, it's on the government website that an employer should not assume without foundation that an overseas qualification is inferior or less than. So know your rights and know when to push back and when to ask questions. Okay, so tip number 6, you need to elevate your skills with targeted ultrasound courses. Attend webinars, undertake e-learning ultrasound courses, anything to keep you in the loop and showcase your ongoing commitment to stay actively involved in the sonography field. Do it. It's a clear effort on your part to keep your knowledge and your skills sharp and up to date. And most courses are free to attend, so take advantage of them. So if you've made it this far, it's nice to have you. Thank you. This is just a reminder, a very brief reminder that if you like what I'm doing here, you're getting any value from my videos, that you should please subscribe to my channel, like, share, interact, comment, all of the above. Subscribe. It really, really motivates me to keep doing this. Thank you. Now, tip number 7. From the moment you decide that you want to transition to ultrasound, make sure to chronicle your progress. Now, it's a very competitive landscape out there, very competitive job market out there. And so you cannot let your efforts to go unnoticed. We live in an era where if you don't blow your trumpet, you do not amplify your success, my guy, nobody will do it for you. So document your shadowing sessions, document your reflections, your written reflections, and document the courses that you've attended. By the time you start applying for jobs, put all of these things in your supporting information. Yeah. And if you make it, they call you for an interview and you go for an interview, you should be prepared to talk about this. Because being a radiographer, you're in X-ray, you're very busy. You're in X-ray, you're in CT, you're in MRI, and still finding the time to go for ultrasound shadowing sessions or ultrasound webinars or ultrasound seminars. You know what that shows? It shows that you have a very proactive mindset and you have an enduring passion for ultrasound. But how would they know if you don't say it? How would they know if you don't document it? So document your achievements, chronicle your progress as you move along. Nothing is too small to document. You just have to learn the art of presenting what you consider to be ordinary achievement in a very impactful way. So doing all this will strengthen your candidacy when you're job hunting, and it will position you as a dynamic individual who is always pursuing growth and keeping up with the evolving trends and knowledge in ultrasound. And that's what you want. And then the 8th tip that I have for you is for you to get a mentor in ultrasound. Very, very important. There's some inside tips in ultrasound practice in this UK that you need somebody to tell you. Nobody will just casually tell you like that, okay? So you need to find yourself like a sonography colleague, a trusted sonography colleague whom you can discuss your practice with, talk about everything, and they should be able to guide you, tell you the ins, the outs, the raw technicalities of the profession, and essentially just caution you from making some avoidable mistakes in practice. And a lot of mentors have like a wealth of experience in the field. And so just telling you a particular story about how they navigated a particular challenge or how they experienced something and this is what they did and how they did it, that can extremely change your life. It can help you to see things from a totally different angle entirely. Only a mentor can do that for you, or a very close sonography colleague can do that for you. So it helps you to build resilience and confidence in practice, and you really, really need that, especially when you're just starting out. Mentors can also introduce you to other people. There are certain things that are beyond them, or there are certain online forums they can introduce you to that can be very helpful in your transitioning from being a radiographer to a sonographer. Now, if you're able to sort yourself out with all the 8 tips that I have provided, then you're ready. You're ready to get back into the job market and start applying for ultrasound jobs, because now your confidence is boosted. You've tried to refresh your ultrasound knowledge. You have the qualification already, and so you're ready to get back into the job market. Now, if you don't have the qualification already, then essentially you're able to decide if ultrasound is for you or not, isn't it? And so you can decide to either sponsor yourself or get a trainee role. Now, which brings me to the point number 9. Now, if you've already gotten an ultrasound qualification from your country, and you've gone through tip number 1 to 8 that I have mentioned, you've done all of those things, and you still don't feel confident enough to be an independent sonographer, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. What you need to do is do not apply for full-time band 7 roles, but you need to apply for trainee roles. Yeah, because as a trainee, that pressure is off you. You're not working independently as a sonographer, so the expectations are not really there. With less expectations means less pressure on you. You'll probably be taught certain things again from scratch, and maybe that's good for you. It's not good for everyone, but maybe that's good for you. And so if that's what you want, that's fine. You can do that. Also, if you had a qualification from your country, but you do not have extensive experience in your country, right? So maybe you got the ultrasound qualification, but you worked maybe 4 months or 3 months as a sonographer, and then you moved to the UK as a radiographer. So naturally, you might not feel very confident enough to actually work independently in the UK. It doesn't mean that your training was not okay. It's just because you did not just have enough experience in the field. And so in cases like that, I'll give the same advice. I'd encourage you to apply for trainee roles instead of, full-time band 7 roles. Okay. The downside to applying for trainee roles, however, is that they are quite scarce. And then they are very, very competitive, especially if you want to be sponsored by the trust, by the hospital. And then if you want to sponsor yourself, it is quite expensive, especially if you want to do all the modules. So you have to be prepared to foot the bill, basically. What you should not do, however, is, when you set yourself and you tell yourself, oh, I have an ultrasound qualification from my country, but I don't feel confident enough to work independently because I probably do not have enough experience, or I just don't feel comfortable. I just feel like I should be trained here in the UK again to practice. If you decide that by yourself, that is fine. Just don't go around spreading to people that the reason why you're deciding to be trained in school is because your qualification or where you schooled and got your initial ultrasound qualification was not good, because it's not true. There are so many, overseas qualification holders who actually practice ultrasound right away without having to go back to a UK school. So if you're deciding to go back to a UK school, that's your business, is on you, and it's not necessarily a function of your initial training. So let's get that right. Don't spread that. It's really bad. It's very misleading. And in the grand scheme of things, it affects a lot of competent sonographers who are able to do this without going back to a UK school. And it will also affect you down the line. So be careful about the things that you say about yourself, okay? About yourself, about your identity, about your training that is indigenous to you. Be careful about the things you spread, okay? You can check my post here about the 5 things that I wish I knew, before becoming a sonographer in the UK, where I just explained briefly about oversharing certain things and the fact that it's completely unnecessary as an international professional. It's just completely unnecessary. Okay, so these are the 9 tips. If you found any of this useful, please don't forget to subscribe. You need to like, share, comment, and interact with the video. And it keeps me going and makes me want to keep doing this. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.